Hello, fellow fantasy sports junkies. I'm very, very excited to be here because it is finally time for baseball. We're here on MFSN. It is the baseball waiver wire. I'm here, as always, with Vlad to the Bone, Casey Scheinbold, and Ross the Boss. But we have a special guest. Ross, hold on. You're going to get to introduce yourself in the way that you usually do. But we are here with Joe Prano. He is a comedian, actor, and the host of the Dirty Sports Podcast. Joe, welcome to the show. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited. I can't wait to see Ross's intro now.
Okay, yeah, this is, I mean, now the spotlight's really on you, Ross. So,
I love the spotlight, and there's something I want to get off my back anyway, so I'm excited. Hi, everybody. I'm Ross the Boss, and I want to talk fantasy baseball waiver wire with you, cowboy. Really quick, I'm getting emails, I'm getting texts. They're saying, Ross, you're not on that basketball show anymore. What happened? Well, everybody, I was fired. Yes, the word fired. Originally, they said, oh, we're going a different direction. It's not a different direction. It's the same show. They just have some milquetoast host take my place. That's what happened. It's unbelievable. So I promised my fans I'm going to be Ross the Boss. I'm not letting anything back on this baseball waiver wire show. I'm giving my opinion. If the hierarchies don't like it, fire me off this one. I'll just get another show. Go ahead, make my day. You can't contain Ross the Boss. You can only kind of control him a little bit. I don't know.
All right,
let's talk baseball waiver wire. Let's go. I'm excited about this.
Okay, I'm glad you got that off your chest. Joe, we'll decompress later. We'll debrief about what just happened. Okay, so we're going to go ahead. What were we going to say?
Yeah, no, I just anytime somebody points a bat at me and calls me cowboy, I'm locked in.
Yeah, well, I'm glad. I'm glad we've got you set. Thank you for doing that, Ross. We're going to start with catchers, guys. Now, let's remember, we're talking 60% and under rostered in Yahoo. There's lots of different formats. Typically, we're talking 5x5, rotisserie, or head-to-head, actually. So, the catchers that are 60% and under owned, I'm going to start with Casey. Now, Ross, don't go crazy on me just for starting with Casey.
No.
That's one.
He's spread the wealth around, please.
He's keeping a ledger on this.
I didn't want to start
Casey,
Joe off.
I appreciate Casey's ideas in this category, so I want to hear it.
All right.
In going through the below 60% owned catchers, I mean, catchers is a notoriously thin position to begin with. So when you say rosterable for catchers, I tend to think you can stream catchers much of the year and not be hurt in your fantasy performance. But there's two who are under 60% owned that are starting the season pretty well. One is Tucker Barnhart in Cincinnati. But I mean, he's just part of the big red machine right now. That Cincinnati offense is incredible. And so he's already got 5 RBIs. He's batting over 380 right now. So he can play him while he's hot, I guess, would be the role. And the other one is Omar Narvaez in Milwaukee. He's another one who started off really hot. Already has a couple home runs, is batting 500. I don't know what he did today. I don't think there were a lot of runs scored early in this game today. So, but those are the only two catchers who I saw that were worth even looking at.
Interesting. I have two others, but I'm going to let Joe go next because we don't want to have him have to deal with like catchers that are really bottom of the barrel.
I just want to second one of Casey's guys, which is Tucker Barnhart. I think, getting in on the Cincinnati team early, that is, just destroying the baseball as a group, like you said, the big red machine. And then, if you have a hole in your lineup with wherever and you pick a Cincinnati guy up right now, somebody's going to fall off on that team. I'm sure a couple of guys are going to fall off, but not a bad idea to take somebody off of that roster and see what happens going forward.
Now, Ross, I'm going to let you lead off on first base when we get there, but I'm going to mention two catchers. So you're going to close us out a catcher. But I have Mitch Garver and Yadier Molina. These guys are 54% owned and 46% owned, respectively. These are legitimate starting catchers. Garver had a bad year last year, but I'm buying that he's more the 2019 Garver. Not maybe that level, but I think he's totally rosterable. And Yadier Molina, I trust entirely. He'll end up hitting probably 6 or 7 home runs only on the year, but he'll give you a decent average, and that's the key at catcher. Now, Ross, you round us out at catcher, and then we'll move to first base.
So I just want to talk about Tucker Barnhart. I'm a huge Reds fan. That's my team, as everybody knows. He can't hit. I mean, he's having some luck right now in the first week. He's not a good hitter. We have Stevenson, his backup, who hit a home run today. And the Reds won today, 11-4, just if everybody's counting it. And they're 5-1. But that being said, Barnhart's not the answer, guys. I like this kid, Zach Collins. He plays for the White Sox. He's like a feast or famine guy. He hits home runs. He's going to bat 240, 250. But if he plays every day, he's a guy that's going to have a 30 home run season. This guy's like a huge guy. He's like Ross the Boss. So if you want a guy that hits home runs, he's somebody. He's not good for average. I don't want you, Ross the Boss. He doesn't hit for average. I know that, you idiot. But just pick him up for RBIs and home runs. We know that. Another guy I like, he's an average catcher, but he's below 60%, and he plays for the Arizona Diamondbacks, is Carson Kelly. Carson Kelly will probably play about 80% of the time. He'll have his 20 home runs. He'll have his 60 RBIs. He'll bat 270. He'll have an average year. He's not going to win you any leagues, but he's not going to lose any leagues. And those are my picks in catcher.
A catcher putting up those numbers might actually help you win the league. What you just said that he'll do. My only issue with Zach Collins is playing time.
That's something you got to watch out for. I mean,
I don't think he's going to catch more than 1 or 2 games a week at this rate, because don't they also have some guy named Yasmani Grandal on the White Sox who's their primary catcher?
Oh,
yeah. Because somebody got hurt. He's out for like the year, and they're moving him to the outfield. Just so you know, you don't do your research. It's fine. I understand.
They're moving Yasmani Grandal to the outfield.
He's playing a lot of outfield right now. Exactly, because
his value just went way up.
Because I watch White Sox games. I like the White Sox. I think they have a great team. They're my pick in the Central. But I feel Collins he's been catching a lot. If you've been watching the White Sox, I think he already has like 2 home runs this year, but he's getting at bats. He's playing.
But listen,
I saw them against the Angels.
People didn't come here to talk about catchers that much. So we're going to move on.
Keep going. Let's keep going.
We're going to first base. Ross, you get to go first. Just give me 2 of your top first base guys, 60%.
Okay, first base, under 60%. I didn't have anybody great. I have Nick Lowe, who plays for the Texas Rangers.
Nate
Lowe. I'm not wearing my glasses, so just bear with me. Nate Lowe, not Rob Lowe, but it's Nate Lowe, not Rob Lowe. Nate Lowe. Nate Lowe's hitting a cool 385. He is hitting home runs. This guy was like a top prospect for the Tampa Bay organization for a few years. He moved to Texas. Now he's 25 years old. He's playing. He's hitting the ball. And, my other one, it's Mark Kasha of the Oakland A's. I'm wearing the Oakland A's stuff right now. He plays a bunch of positions, but if you need a guy that can play outfield, first base, I think he also is available at third base in Yahoo leagues. He's a guy that's going to get his swings. He's going to have 20, 25 home runs. He'll hit bat 270, 280. He's a good guy to have on your team, but he can also, it's eligible in first base. He could be a good pickup right now if you need it, because I know Olsen is out for a little bit.
Okay, now listen. First, I want to acknowledge we have a comment from Wichita Films. He says Ross is up 12-9 over Vlad to the Bone. They're playing in the head-to-head league that Wichita Films is in with us.
It's very true.
Reporting on the news.
The league that week is over on Sunday. There's a lot more baseball to play, but thank you, Chris. I appreciate that.
Okay, now Joe, we're going to you next. I want to hear your takes on first base.
I hate to, do a second round of feeling like I'm just echoing, but I had Nate Lowe as a sleeper before the year started, and he's already proving me right. What the Tampa Bay Rays do, their farm system is incredible. They go deep like they did last year. Then they, kind of sell everybody off. It seems like it's a refresh year, like they like to do down there. And I think he's going to have an incredible season, and it starts with this hot start.
I think it's great. And actually, I just want to make a note of this. Nate Lowe was a hot prospect like a year and a half ago. It's like they go for like hot prospects, and if they don't perform in like 2 months, they become like post-hype sleepers. So Nate Lowe should be on everybody's radar. Totally agree. And we love a good echo chamber here sometimes. So here we are. We're all talking about Nate Lowe. Okay, now I'm going to bring up somebody next. Ryan Mcmahon of Colorado. He's a first base, second base, third base guy. Speaking of a guy who used to be a top prospect, now he's been a prospect that's been around for about 3 years. So he is a legitimate post-hype sleeper. Nate Lowe is just a good prospect that is now hitting in the league. If I had to choose between the two, I choose Nate Lowe because he has less performance that you can see is kind of mediocre. Ryan McMahon goes through big times, but he's getting playing time in Colorado. And I'm going to say also Josh Fuentes also getting playing time in Colorado. Anybody who's getting playing time in Colorado is okay by my book. Now, Casey, it is your turn at first base.
Okay. Obviously, I agree with everybody. We're going to do the echoes on Nate Lowe here. He was a top prospect. The problem in Tampa Bay is they didn't give him the regular at bats because Tampa is notorious for kind of moving pieces around and giving people too much, not allowing them to develop in that respect. Their formula is very successful for winning baseball games. It's not incredibly successful for fantasy sports reasons. So him getting every day in at bats in Texas is huge, and I think he's going to be great. So I agree with Joe wholeheartedly there. The other one I want to mention who's under 60% owned, and I just don't understand, is Yuli Guriel in Houston. This guy isn't notoriously a hitter. He's going to give you around 20 home runs. He's going to bat above 270, 280. I think that is always serviceable in fantasy sports. He's going to score a lot of runs. Houston seems to be back after their cheating issues, if we want to call them the trash can issues. And Guriel's just a good hitter. So I would put him on that list of first basemen I would want as well.
Now, let's also say he's 57% owned right now. So that means when you tune in next week, you're probably not going to hear about him because people are going to pick him up. Last call on Yuli Guriel, and he can make a big, big difference. I can't believe I had a mispronunciation after, Ross is usually the king of that, and we love you for it, Ross. Okay, let's do a quick speed round on first base. You can each name one player. You just say it fast. You don't get to say any commentary on it. Just say who it is. Ross, you go first. Just the name.
Joey Votto.
Joe?
Pete Alonso.
What?
Well, that's a good one.
Pete Alonso.
Ooh,
Never heard of him. Never heard of the guy.
Is he less
Casey?
than...
Is Joey Votto less than 60% owned at this point?
Joey Votto's 20% owned. No one wants Joey Votto.
It's actually true.
I thought now we were just doing a speed round where we name really good first basemen.
I'm naming a guy that's under 60% that no one wants because he's old, haggard, and they don't expect him to do anything this year. But I think Joey Votto will come out of his slump and he'll do something. We'll see what happens.
You can say like Lou Gehrig.
That's right.
Okay, Casey.
Lou Gehrig.
Andrew Vaughn.
Okay, Jeimer Candelario. This guy is good. Okay.
That's not a real guy. Come on, keep going.
He's tearing the cover off the ball in Detroit right now.
He's been doing it for a while, and he was a top prospect like a year and a half ago. Okay, we're going to move to second base, and Joe, you're leading us off at second base. Second base is the thinnest position other than catcher, which is not, it's almost like a half a position catcher. So let's go with second.
So here's my thing is I don't have a list of the guys that are under 60% owned, but I'm going to take a guess here. Obviously, Pete Alonso not on that list at first base, and I now understand our speed round. But how about Cronenworth for the Padres? Is he under 60% owned at this point?
Probably. I believe he is. I'll check that for you. But anything that you want to say about him is specific.
He is under 60%. The answer is yes. So that's a good one.
I like him. I like him in that lineup. Like you said, it's a thin position. But I think playing down there in Petco and playing in the lineup and, seeing fastballs late in that lineup, I think he's a nice sleeper at second base.
All right. We're going to go to you next, Ross, because I don't want you getting sensitive here. Okay.
So I'm not biased, but my first pickup on any position, any guy right now who you should picking up because he's going to be rookie of the year. He'll get some votes for MVP this year. He's been killing the ball. It's Jonathan India. And this guy was in the Reds organization for a few years now. He's always been a top prospect. He didn't do anything last year because what happened? He's hitting 500. I mean, I watched him today. I mean, he's tearing the cover off the ball. He's unbelievable. And they just moved him from third base to second base. So he's starting at second. He's available at both positions. So if you need a third baseman or second baseman, he's available. But he's somebody that I'm saying it right now, rookie of the year. Say it with me, rookie of the year. He's going to win rookie of the year. He'll get some MVP votes, like I said, but he's somebody a top pick. Pick him up.
Yeah, I think he's a great pick, but he's going to get, I'll tell you how many votes he's going to get for MVP. 0. But
you son of a,
unless Ross has one.
He could win for rookie. Well, if Ross has a vote, then he's going to get him. So I'm going to mention two. One is a high upside guy, Ha-Seong Kim on San Diego. Also, this guy, he's not so known in the major leagues, just came in, but he's got a lot of upside. And then I'm going to bring up a guy who has not nearly as much upside, but is one of these solid guys. Cesar Hernandez on my Cleveland Indians. I'm not picking him because he's Cleveland Indian. Believe me, I don't have a single Cleveland Indian on my hitting team this year. I do have Shane Bieber, so that's good. But Cesar Hernandez he's almost like a catcher at second base. He's not going to hurt you. So if you need a guy like that, go for it. Casey, how about you at second base?
Okay, I got a few.
Okay.
I second your Ha-Seong Kim. I think he's a great pickup. I think Nick Madrigal is another guy who you can pick up who's going to get a lot of play there in Chicago. He's a speed and contact guy, so he can help you in that. In that kind of same mold as Jazz Chisholm in Miami. He's another guy who's stealing bags already this season. And
Casey, let me stop you. Jazz, I love. He's on my list too. And his personality is like the biggest personality in Major League Baseball. You've got to watch him be interviewed. He's unbelievable. I want him on our show.
I love it.
Just to name a couple others, because apparently I like second base in the waiver wire so far this year, is Garrett Hampson is another one of those Ryan McMahon types in terms of he's a Colorado prospect who he plays all over the place. He's a speed guy who can give you a little pop as anybody can in Colorado, I feel like. Then you have Ty France in Seattle, who is a sleeper pick by a lot of people this year because he's a good contact hitter who's going to score you some runs and can get the ball out of the park. Well, he's started off the season with a home run and batting .333. So he's another one who at second base can help you out, and he's under 60% owned.
Okay, now I'm just going to mention Eduardo Escobar. Sometimes there's a guy he's 1 for 17. So you're asking me, why am I recommending him? Because the guy can actually hit, and you're getting him at a discount because he's 1 for 17. Otherwise, he might easily be owned. So,
and his last name's Escobar. Would you argue with the guy?
No, definitely not. Now, another guy who could help you out, Joey Wendell, because he's got multiple position eligibility, but I really would rather bring him up. Second base is the place to bring him up, but he's got shortstop eligibility too. You don't need to worry about third base. Ty France, though, was the other guy that I was going to mention. I like him too, and Wichita Film says he likes Ty France. So we've got a good echo chamber going here for Ty France.
Kumbaya.
We're going to go to third base now, guys, and I'm going to let Ross the Boss start this one, and then we're coming to you, Joe, so you get your names ready. It's okay. Listen, it's okay if you go over 60%.
Okay.
Just try not to,
tell us who you like.
Right.
I want to hear who Joe likes.
Don't recommend like Nolan Arenado.
Right.
He knows that.
I'll save those names for the speed round.
There you go.
Right, sounds good.
But Ty France is also a third baseman. I had him down there, but he's also eligible at second. But I like him a lot too. Somebody that gets no recognition because he plays in Florida is Brian Anderson. He's an outfielder and third baseman. He's somebody that can hit 25, 30 home runs, a lot of power, 260, 270 hitter. Again, if you need a third baseman and you're worried about that position, that's somebody you can pick up, and he can play outfield too. He'll have a good year. Brian Anderson's a great pickup, and that's my number one pick right now in third base.
Yeah, you've been very high on Brian Anderson in general, and he's kind of like a Cesar Hernandez at third base. He's not going to hurt you. Great player to pick up, and he's got outfield eligibility too, which really does help. Joe, we're coming to you next. I know you like Nolan Arenado.
I do like Nolan Arenado, but as a Mets fan, I'll tell you a guy I liked right up until yesterday where he got hit in the hand is he's now day to day, but JD Davis. I don't know his what his ownership is at.
He's under.
But
he's under. You're good with him, and he went to Arizona State too. I like him a lot.
I like him a lot. He's not a great infielder. The Mets have a lot of questionable guys in their history for guys who can't field their position but can hit, and he is one of those guys. He'll stay in the lineup with his bat, and I like JD Davis.
It's a great pick. I had him last year. He was quite serviceable, and these are the kinds of players you sometimes need. Casey, who do you have?
Well, a lot of the guys we've talked about already because of the multi-position eligibility, but I'll add one kind of geriatric to the list who's under 60% owned, who at least early in the season seems to have found the fountain of youth, and that's Evan Longoria. Between he and Buster Posey, the geriatrics in San Francisco seem to be playing pretty well. So for now, I would ride that. I don't know how long it's going to last, but he's already got 3 home runs this year, and he's batting a respectable average too so far. So he's somebody you got to at least take a look at right now.
Now this is a theme we should bring up in general, which is that people become geriatric in baseball in like 3 years. They age so fast. I remember when Evan Longoria was this hot rookie, and I don't even remember when that was. It was probably like 10 years ago at this point. But so he is actually getting up there in baseball terms. But I have Kyle Seeger very high up on my third base list, and then we're gonna get to some questions that are coming in. Third base, a guy like Kyle Seeger, he's 49% owned right now. His batting average could be low, but his production is definitely going to be good. And so I think he is a guy that is a priority pickup. Guys, who else do we have at third base before we move on and get to comments?
I mean, I've heard it all. There's no one else I want to add. I think we kind of covered it. No, not.
All right,
no.
I'm going to add somebody then. And I always have something to say. Well, I already mentioned Candelario, but John Birdie on Miami. He's a second base, third base, shortstop, and outfielder guy.
Yeah, he plays every position, and he's fast. He's faster than Casey Scheinfeld.
Yeah. Well, I don't know about that.
Okay, now we do have some comments, and one of our comments is from our chat room MVP, Sam Jacobowitz. Welcome back, Sam. He says, I traded Tatis for Bogarts because I don't trust his shoulder at all. I think he will get injured again, and I'd rather trade him for a quality piece while I can. Let's weigh in and say, what do we think about Sam's trade, Joe? We're going to start with you. You're our guest here, so you tell us.
I understand, the shoulder is a question mark right now, but I can't understand trading Fernando Tatis for just about anybody. Like the idea that you have that guy in your roster, you're 3 days into the season and you're bailing on Tatis seems ludicrous to me.
All right. And Ross, what do you think about it?
I know Tatis is not having surgery. How long is he out for? Is it 6 weeks, 8 weeks, 2 weeks? What's the diagnosis? I have no idea.
I think it's murky, and that's actually one of the problems. So
I mean, of course I want Tatis, but if it's like a 6 week type thing and he's out, I'd rather have Bogarts. So there you go.
See, that's the thing, and that's a great point, Ross. Even if Tatis is great, if he's definitely going to be out 6 weeks, you're missing a huge chunk of the season. If you get Bogarts for the full time, I actually like that trade. If you're in a keeper league, no way I do that. No,
of course not. Yeah, of course. No. Keeper league, dynasty league, of course. Yeah.
The trade, the big thing that hurts you is the steals. Bogarts isn't going to run nearly as much as Tatis would, and given the dearth of true speed guys who contribute in other categories in fantasy baseball today, that if you're missing out on the 20, if he only plays, let's say he only plays 125 games, Tatis, he can still steal you 30 to 35 bags in that 125 games. So that would be the big area. You're going to gain more probably in RBIs and home runs with this trade, if Tatis is out of general any more than 3 or 4 weeks. But other than that, I don't know. I mean, it's the safe move, I think, if you're worried that it's going to be a recurring injury for him, because it seems like it hit him in spring training as well. But
I mean, look, everybody, including Sam, knows that Tatis is much better. There's no question. But I think to make that trade, if he goes down and he has to get surgery, then he's
not having surgery. But let's keep going.
Yes.
We're losing our focus here.
Can I add one thing to that? I know,
yes,
obviously, like you said, how long is he out is a big question mark right now. But the other thing about it is we're coming off a season where, they played less than half the games. So counting on other guys, you're weighing, okay, now Bogarts is going to be healthy the entire year. I think we're going to see the injury bug all around. Now, obviously Tatis is an ongoing sort of recurring issue, but I'm also weighing in, like, how many games does everybody miss?
That's a great point. Bogarts is not necessarily going to play all those games. You don't know. And actually, another thing is some people could be buyers on Tatis now. You have a window, obviously. All right, let's move to shortstop, 60% and under. We've mentioned some guys who have that qualification, like Ha-Seong Kim, but I'm going to start this time with Casey. You give us your shortstop.
Oh, you're going to start with me. I thought you were going to start, but then you named me. Okay. Of the people who we haven't named yet who have shortstop eligibility, I have 2 names on my list. One is Miguel Rojas in Miami. It's a young team. They're letting him at bat and they're letting him run. He's already got 2 stolen bases on the year. And when I'm looking at the waiver wire at this point, I'm looking for kind of those specialist categories, and a speed guy is always something that's highly desired. Chris Owings is a guy who's been around the league for years, has multi-position eligibility. He's now in Colorado and getting a chance to play quite a bit. And shortstop is one of the positions he's played. So that's another guy you can look at.
Okay, Joe, hit it.
The Casey brought up the speed, and the guy that comes to mind for me is another former member of my team, but Ahmed Rosario in Cleveland. The problem with him in Cleveland is they also sent to Cleveland the guy who he kind of split time with last year, in Jimenez. And I think, that's obviously going to be a factor. Is he going to continue to cut into his time? But I think Rosario is going to fare better. getting a little bit more mature and playing in the American League. So for the speed factor, I like him right now and see what happens.
So this is interesting. You're a Mets guy recommending a Cleveland guy, and now I'm a Cleveland guy who's about to recommend a Mets guy. Really weird. Okay, so Jonathan Valar.
Oh, I thought you were going to recommend Francisco Lindor. I was going to say that's a good one.
I recommend him, sure, although I think he's actually not going to hit his peak playing. But I think Jonathan Valar is not getting a lot of playing time right now, but he could be a difference maker. I see him as a stash, and we're going to get into that. And I don't mean the stash that Joe has going, different kind of stash, but he could be a difference maker. The guy steals bases all the time. But Garrett Hampson is that guy. Casey already mentioned him, but I'm going to mention him in shortstops because this is a guy who plays in Colorado, but he's also a speed guy. Speed guys always have value. They have, unless you're like Billy Hamilton and you're hitting like 170, you're going to have value. And if you play at shortstop, so much the better. So, Ross, your turn at shortstop.
Well, you're talking about speed. If you want a speed guy, power guy, he's hitting 385 right now for your Minnesota Twins. It's Alderaan Simmons. He is killing the ball right now. He'll steal you 20, 25 bases. Hopefully Minnesota, if they give him the green light to run, we'll see what happens. But Simmons is your guy. If you need a shortstop and you're in a category league like I am with these bozos, it's somebody you should pick up immediately.
I've never, it's so fun to be with somebody who calls you a bozo and an idiot all the time. It makes it's like it doesn't even register anymore.
Did he call him
Deflect.
Did he call him Alderaan Simmons?
Yeah, I think it's the planet that was blown up in Star Wars.
I am a big Star Wars fan, as you guys all know. But we'll just call him by his last.
The Rebel base is on Andrelton Simmons.
Pick him up. He's the pickup. Pick him up now. Press the pickup key.
We're gonna move into stashes though. These are players that are either injured or for some reason they're lying out there, and Valar is kind of one of them. But these are also prospect stashes. So you can bring up any prospect you want. Before we do that, I just want to make some notes on the comments. We do have some people talking still about Tatis's shoulder being very worrisome. And Wichita Film says about third base, you let me steal Turner. I think he's talking to you, Ross. I don't know, though. We'll have to find out. Now, meanwhile, there's also this worry about Tatis. It has been brought up that Michael Conforto had the same injury, ended up out for the whole year. So, listen. Sam could be a visionary making that trade. Okay, let's talk about stashes that are out there. And remember, this can be at any position. And then we're going to move into outfield. So, Joe, who do you have? I don't mean to put you on the spot, but who do you have that's a stash that you could see?
And not your own stash either.
Yes,
no, you can't pick that up. I was
going to say you could take my stash. Well, because I brought it up before, I said I like J.D. Davis at third base, but, he did have that hand injury. Your boy that you just mentioned, Valar, started at second base today for God knows what reason, when he could have started at third base in place of an injured J.D. Davis. I like that. I like that as a stash pick. I know that you previewed that already, but I think he's going to be a guy that gets a lot of playing time, one spot or the other.
Okay. I'm going to jump in here. I'm going to go straight to prospects. One of the prospects that I love the most is Mackenzie Gore, and he is still, I believe, under 60% owned.
Way under 60%.
19% to be exact.
He's under 20%
to name a number.
Listen, if I understand math, he's under 20% owned.
As soon as one of the Padres starting five go down, he'll be in there. You just got to wait.
Yeah, but here's the other thing. The arbitration clock. I feel like teams are starting to get away from that. They're not so locked in.
The Padres want to win now. It's all about now. They spent too much money to wait. They're not waiting a second.
I agree. So you should have Mackenzie Gore at the top of
Mackenzie Phillips or Mackenzie. Which one is it? Mackenzie Phillips?
Mackenzie Phillips.
or is it Al Gore? Who are you talking about?
It's Mackenzie.
It's Frank Gore.
It's like a Jeopardy category.
Frank Gore has decided that his NFL career has finally come to an end, so he's now a prospect in baseball.
That's right. That would be classic Frank Gore.
University of Miami, Frank Gore. Got it.
Ross, give us a prospect or somebody or a stash.
I'll give you a stash. As soon as like some guy's going to start blowing saves and a team's going to be like, we got to sign somebody. Who should we sign? Who's out there that's not playing baseball that can save a game? Roberto Asuno. Did I say it right, Case? How do you say Roberto?
Roberto Asuno.
Close.
Roberto Asuno.
Right up to the last letter.
I almost had that. So he's like 3%. This guy's a save machine. I don't know why he doesn't have a job. I don't know what's going on, but he should be out there. Another guy you should stash. He's injured. He's coming back in late May. I talked to the Tampa Bay. They said, listen, Ross, Nick Anderson will be back here in May. His job's waiting for him. You know, Castillo's going to close for now, but we have him ready. But I like Nick Anderson. If you need a closer, especially in those hot summer days, Nick Anderson comes out there. He'll get the save for you. Don't worry. So if you can stash Nick Anderson for like, I don't know, 2 months, he's there for you. So I'll just stop with that.
Now I'm gonna go to Joe because I saw him have some kind of facial response to Nick Anderson. What was going on, Joe?
No, it wasn't the Nick Anderson mention as much as the Asuno mispronunciation, which I was doing the same thing, but I like that he just owned it and asked. But I like the Nick Anderson stash. I also like the slow play by Ross to stash him for 2 months. I like that kind of forward thinking.
Well, I mean, people are saying, well, when's this guy coming back? And they'll email me and ask me, so when's he coming back?
No, look,
back late in May.
When he's coming back, everybody's going to be like, oh, I wish I had him. Now is your chance. Carlos Carrasco. This is another guy.
Oh, that's a good one.
Okay.
Yes.
I just keep naming Mets. I guess it's for Joe.
I'm just over here hoping and praying that everything that you're saying is right.
Listen, I think it is. I'm also going to say another big name pitcher. I drafted Carrasco. I also drafted Chris Sale. Chris Sale could be a completely huge difference maker.
Can I have Chris Sale prediction?
Yeah.
He won't have one win this year. He won't have one win this year in 2020. You heard it from Ross the Boss. That's what Ross Boss says. Not one win. Keep going.
Okay. All right.
You want to argue with me? Argue. All you want.
Can I bet the over?
Yeah. That's an easy bet.
The over. Yeah. 0 is the over. Anytime.
If you bet the under, I'll question your judgment.
Keep going.
I have a couple I want to add.
Okay.
Go ahead, Case.
Nate Pearson in Toronto, I think, is worth. Dan and I, as you will learn from Dan and I throughout the season, we love finding guys who are on the injured list that we can put into our injured spot so that they don't actually take up a roster spot until they are either cleared or obviously eligible to pitch again. I think Nate Pearson in Toronto has incredible stuff, and they're going to be looking for pitchers throughout the season. So once he's healthy, I think that's great. Alex Kirilloff is my minor league stash or my prospect stash. I would have said Mackenzie Gore, but that was already taken. So I'm going to go with Alex Kirilloff, the outfielder for Minnesota. I don't know why he's not with them now. They gave him his first major league at bat last year in the playoffs, so they certainly trust him. And then you have the Noah Syndergaard or the Luis Severino are two more pitchers who you can stash on your injured spot if you have openings there that could provide you great numbers the second half of the season.
Now, guess what? Wichita Films says Chris Sale is going to go 10-4, and I've learned to listen to Wichita
Not one
Films.
win, Chris. Not one win. No.
The guy knows what he's talking. At least when it came to the NCAA tournament, this guy knew what he was talking.
Who won? Okay, keep going.
All right, I just want to mention Wander Franco. He's top
Wander
prospect
Franco,
at shortstop.
number one
Bobby
prospect.
Bobby Witt. You
Witt
need
Jr.
to know these Bobby Witt Jr. Yeah, don't pick up Bobby Witt
His
Sr.
dad doesn't pitch very well anymore.
No, but he had a
I used
stash,
to love
as I
watching
remember.
his dad for the
You
Angels.
could probably
But
stretch
yeah,
me out.
those two guys, they're top prospects. I just don't know when they're going to call them up. It'd be interesting if they call them up this year. I'm curious. We'll see what happens.
Wander Franco, I'm almost positive is going to come up this year. Now we're going to move now to outfield. Okay, now we might spend a little extra time on outfield and starting pitcher because there's so many of them. So outfield, we're going to start with you, Ross the Boss. Give us two of your top outfielders.
So David Dahl of the Texas Rangers, he played for the Rockies. You guys remember him, right? Big prospect, right fielder. He's been
stay healthy.
He's been killing. He's been hitting like 358. He has a couple home runs. I mean, Texas is a great place for hitters. I mean, it's unbelievable. I mean, Joey Gallo kills the ball there. I mean, this guy's built the same way. He's a big boy. He'll be hitting home runs. He can hit for average too. So, and he's available. He's under 60%. Another guy I like plays for the White Sox, and he's not Cuban, which is unbelievable. All the White Sox have like all the Cubans. Is Adam Eaton. Adam Eaton, people every year, it's like, this is his year. This is going to happen for him. Well, you know what? I think this will be a good year for him. He's surrounded by talent. They're going to pitch to him. They'll get a lot of fastballs. He'll be killing the ball. If you need an outfielder, Adam Eaton, I love this year. Another guy that came out of the gate really quick, and we heard his name. He played for the Nationals. Is Michael A. Taylor. and Michael A. I don't know what the A stands for, but who knows?
I think it's for his middle name.
But Michael, he's hitting like over 400. He's playing great. He plays for your Kansas City Royals. I like him a lot this year. He can steal bases. He started off great. I don't know if he'll keep it up, but just keep him in mind if you need an outfielder. And the last guy I like, he plays for Baltimore, and I think they swept the Red Sox over the weekend, is Cedric Mullins. And you're like, who the hell is Cedric Mullins? It's like, who is this guy? I know, I'm teasing. I'm being an actor here. I'm
I had no
fluid
idea.
actor here. I'm like De Niro. So Cedric Mullins, he won't hit for a power, but he's going to steal you some places. He'll score a lot of runs. He's a guy that's going to be consistent this year, and he's hitting like he's killing the ball. I mean, I don't know what else to tell you.
Okay, I'm just going to weigh in for a second, and then Joe, we're coming to you. So just get ready.
Yeah.
Get ready.
You're sitting there. You got the stash. You got a centaur over your shoulder. You got lots of interesting things going on.
Myself as
a
myself as a centaur. That was something that one of our fans sent me.
Oh my God!
Nice.
Well, okay, we're going to take a look at that later in the show.
Fan art.
Yeah, that's some good stuff. Now, let me say this, Ross. This could upset you, but Michael A. Taylor, he's the exact kind of player that I'm going to tell you. Do not fall for this fool's gold. We have seen it before.
Fool's gold. Yep.
Listen, he's not the kind of player to pick up. If you ask me, I'd rather pick up a guy like Randall Grichuk.
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 Toronto Blue Jay, correct?
Toronto Blue Jay.
Yep.
Yeah, he was killing the ball last year, and he's doing it again. And he was a top prospect at one time, I think, with the Cardinals. So listen, this is a guy whose track record is showing he's trending up. Michael Taylor does this kind of stuff all the time. Now, I'm going to bring up another interesting name. I don't know what you guys think about Jock Peterson. He's 0 for 13. I do not actually love Jock Peterson as a pickup.
He got a hit today, Dan.
Oh, he did? Finally. Yeah. He's off the schneid, as Chris Berman would say. So Jock Peterson, though, I will say he's a good pickup if you've got room on your roster to play him only against right-handed pitching. He can't hit lefties at all. I'm a big split stat guy. If you're looking for value on the wire, that's the way to go. I don't know. He should not be 57% owned, but I could see him being maybe 25% owned for his split stat usage. Joe, give us your take on outfield.
Well, I didn't have Jock Peterson on my list, but I do like that call because I just think in that ballpark, that's a great guy to plug in when you need him. The guy from the Reds, Tyler Naquin, off to a hot start. I know he's not going to get a lot of at-bats because he's filling in right now, but I think, if we're talking about sleepers and picking up guys off the waiver wire, pick him up while he's playing well. And, as he keeps getting some at-bats, hopefully you can keep plugging him in for a little while. Another guy that really doesn't have the statistical evidence to back this up, but from just a guy who I've always liked, and I'm assuming not very well owned, is Francie Cordero, now on Kansas City. I think that, kind of being out of the limelight, being in a place where he can quietly succeed, he's always been a player I liked, and I think in Kansas City he shows that.
Good call. Casey, how about you?
Well, I just want to point out that Tyler Naquin still has my favorite inside the park home run ever when he was with Cleveland. I'm sure Dan remembers it when he did the old, he did the Cleveland Rocks chant after he slid across home plate. So that's great.
Oh, I remember.
I like a lot of the players that were said. I'd like to add the rookie Akil Baddoo from Detroit, who's just tearing the cover off the ball. He's a Rule 5 pick. I'm not sure if he's going to continue to get playing time, but it'd be hard to take him out of the lineup right now. And they seem to really like him there, so he could get a lot of run. And Detroit's a young team. I like looking at these younger teams that don't have high expectations when it comes to finding kind of fantasy gold, because they give a long leash to a lot of these younger players. And another kind of, maybe he's a post-hype sleeper, but he was a top prospect just a couple of years ago, is Nick Senzel in Cincinnati, who's playing the outfield for them. He's going to score a ton of runs. He's an average guy, at least he was his whole career. So ideally he can do that again. He can sneak some bases, and he's got average pop. So that's another one I would put on my list of people to grab off the waiver wire.
I just wanted to highlight, I like that you're highlighting that these bad teams can be places to find value. There's also another thing that's great about outfield. You have so many outfielders that you can go in so many different directions. You could pick up Leody Taveras from the Rangers. He's not hitting well so far, but he's the speed guy. So you go ahead and pick him up. You could pick up a guy like David Peralta, who is a veteran, but he always hits for good average and good power. And meanwhile, his split stats are good too. So I'm going to get to the comments in a second, but you can also pick up a guy who is, a young rookie, like in the prospect list that we talked about, or a post type sleeper like Nick Senzel. So you can go in lots of different directions. And I will say this, I don't know what it means, but I had a dream that David Dahl hit 6 home runs in one game. So maybe it means something. I don't know.
These are the things that you're dreaming about?
It is. Isn't that crazy? Yeah. Listen, and I'm you don't know this, John, but Casey and I are both therapists, so we're going to be analyzing that.
Yeah, we'll talk about
Joe,
that
not
too,
John,
later.
but keep going.
Yeah. Oh, what? I said
Call
John?
him John.
Oh,
I'm already
good
analyzing
Lord.
why
Ross,
he called me John. So
Ross, you're rubbing off on me. Now we're mispronouncing everything. Your
Not
name
me.
is Ross, right? Okay. Wichita Film says Casey is building something pretty good around here. So there are these young teams that can be surprising. And he says Twinkie
Oh,
fans.
I thought he was talking about me.
No, I don't think so. It was not. It's spelled KC.
Oh,
So,
bummer.
But I think you're
I
building
thought we had
some
a
good
connection,
things.
Wichita.
Yeah, maybe. So he also says Twinkie fans are pissed that the team traded Badu to Detroit.
True.
I'm sure it's true. So there's so many great outfielders out there. Guys, we're going to do a quick speed round, then we're going to go to pitchers. Ross, an outfielder, just one name.
You
Caught him off guard.
I said everybody.
Okay,
so
forget
keep
you.
going.
Forget
I don't
you.
have
Forget
anybody.
you. Joe.
I'm seconding the Badu call.
Okay, Casey.
I don't believe Andrew Benintendi is over 60% owned right now.
He's not. Okay, and I'm also going to mention Dalton Varsho, but I'm not going to mention him as an outfielder. He's a catcher. When he comes up, it could be valuable. Guys, let's move to starting pitching, and we're going to start with you, Joe.
The guy, I'm not sure where everybody's at ownership wise, but Tony Gonsolin on the Dodgers. I mean, with that offense, I mean, you're going to stockpile wins. You're going to stockpile a guy who's allowed to stick in games longer because of the leads that they have. I like him as a starting pitcher sleeper.
And I like that somebody out there once made a comment that I look like Tony Gonzalez. So, okay, I'll take it. Ross, let's go to you.
He's back with the Cubs. He had his best years with the Cubs. Now he's back, and he pitched his first game, and he looked unbelievable. He had like 6 strikeouts. He got the win. His ERA was under 2. It was unbelievable. Jake Arrieta. Jake looked great. I like him a lot in Chicago. He's back at home. He's going to have a big year, 15-win year. Pick him up now. Another guy
I just want a sizzle reel of all of Ross's pronunciations of athletes' names.
I know, we should do it. Should be like a game show.
Arrieta. Keep going.
Ross pronounces things. Jake Arrieta is a great pickup. I'm totally with you.
Matt Shoemaker, I like a lot. He pitches for Minnesota. He's kind of a journeyman, but he's a guy that consistent. He'll get you your strikeouts. He'll pitch 6-7 innings. He's a workhorse. He'll pitch 200 innings this year if he doesn't get hurt. But Matt Shoemaker, for me, is somebody that if you're in a league where innings matter, he's a good guy for you to pick up. And he's like owned in like 8% of the league. So he's another one. I would think if you need somebody like that, go ahead and get him.
Okay, you had me dropping him at journeyman. I think
he is a journeyman.
I know, and that's why I don't want him. So listen, I would
fine. Don't go pick him up.
Don't. Believe me, I won't. I'm going to go with somebody who has a lot more upside. I can't believe this is happening. I keep finding Mets. Joe, I swear this is not for you. Taiwan Walker.
Yep.
Taiwan Walker.
He hasn't even pitched this year. Why do you like him? Spring training?
Why do I like him?
He's our home starter tomorrow. He's starting opening day at Citi Field.
Yeah, he's starting opening day.
He hasn't even pitched.
He was somebody that has before. You know why else I like him, Ross?
He pitched well for Toronto last year. He pitched great in the spring. I don't see why you wouldn't.
He didn't pitch that great in the spring. I'm looking at his stats right here. Come on.
Who cares what happens in the spring? We all know that's a complete joke. They practice their pitches. They're like,
you're right.
I want to throw a fastball in
right.
this. It doesn't matter at all. Okay.
I agree.
Taiwan Walker is he's a good pitcher, and he's 30% ownership. So that's what I'm going for. Casey, how about you?
Well, I'm going to go to the other side of New York, to the Bronx, and mention Jordan Montgomery, who is kind of the under-the-radar Yankees starter for the past several years, who always just seems to have good peripherals, get some solid wins. He's not going to be a big, huge strikeout guy. He might get you a strikeout per inning, but probably a little under. So that's somebody. If it's true that Carlos Rodon has suddenly figured out how to find the strike zone with consistency, which he seems to have done in his first start and did during the spring, although we're discounting the spring, he's somebody who has crazy swing and miss stuff from the left side for the White Sox. He could be huge for them. and a former Met who was traded to the Toronto Blue Jays, Steven Matz. He's another guy who I would keep an eye on. I don't think he's a definite add, but we know he's got good stuff. We know he's got the prospect pedigree. And if he truly has figured it out, that could be another one who could be worth owning.
And he looked great. He pitched a couple days ago. He looked fantastic.
Okay, now we have a comment about Michael Pineda. I think he is also a good pickup. I'm going to say Casey Mize on Detroit. This guy had big time pedigree. He's a great pitcher. I don't think Michael Kopech is owned in over 60.
He's not. You're 100. I have him on my list. I didn't mention him because I just thought we had too many pitchers. But he's somebody I like a lot, and he could have a good year this year. He's a reliever and starter.
That's right, and he's one of these guys who could be a great middle reliever. Even that has a lot of value. So let's move to relief pitching. We're going to finish up on this. Joe, we're going to start with you. Who are your top ads at relief pitcher?
Do not start with me. I honestly don't have any quality ads on relief pitcher. So I'm going to let you guys go.
This is exactly why I started with you. I just wanted to highlight that, make you feel welcome. All right, we'll jump to Casey.
All right. I think Giovanni Gallegos is one of the most valuable middle relievers, late relievers in the game. He's under 60% owned because they gave Alex Reyes the closing job, and everybody assumes it's going to go to Jordan Hicks as soon as Alex Reyes folds. I think Giovanni Gallegos is a really good ad. I also think Jose Alvarado in Philadelphia, because I don't know if they have a set closer there, and Alvarado can give you really good numbers. Daniel Bard is a closer. I mean, and he is entrenched in the closer's role in Colorado. Trust him or not, he was good last year. He seems to be doing well so far this year, and he's still under 60% owned, so he can get you some saves.
Joe, we have a shout out to you. Clayton Carter says Joe is the man. And
oh, wow. Thank you, Clayton.
I can tell you.
Garver.
I like that it happens right after you're like, we're coming to you. I'm like, I got nothing.
We're embarrassing
You're the
you.
Man.
You're the man.
You're the man. But listen, you've been made into a centaur, so you're in pretty good shape, I think. All right, now another guy just like Daniel Bard is Matt Barnes. Matt Barnes has had bad numbers, but he is a legitimate closer, and so far he's cooking with gas. 3 innings pitched, 6 strikeouts, a .33 whip. Is that going to keep up? That doesn't sound like Matt Barnes. So listen, closer is always a wild ride. Cesar Valdez, this is another guy that's closing games, and Baltimore's looking better than they did before. But I'm just going to say this: you can pick up closers. You can also pick up those great 8th inning guys, like maybe a Chad Green, and then Aroldis Chapman goes down, and you have one of the best closers. All right, Ross, finish us up on relief pitching, and then you
guys. I mean, Casey did 5 people. You did 3. And you guys mentioned everybody who's under 60%. So Archie Bradley is the only one you didn't say. Matt Barnes is on my. I mean, everybody else is on my. You guys mentioned everybody.
My God!
But let me tell you something. I'll tell you. I'll give you one hint.
That's why I didn't mention anybody. I left some people for you.
That's so nice.
Thank you, Joe. I'll remember that. I'll give you one hint. Amir Garrett of the Cincinnati Reds pitched today. He gave up a grand slam. He's not been pitching well at all in the first week. I don't know if the Reds will keep him as their closer. Lucas Sims could be a guy you want to pick up. He might be the closer by week 3 or week 2. Who knows? And my boy Doolittle, I love the name. You say it with me. Say Doolittle. Doolittle could be the closer also. So he's been pitching unbelievable in this season so far. Hasn't given up a run. So that all being said, in Cincinnati, there might be a change in the closing position. We'll see what happens.
See, Ross, was that so hard? You showed some adversity and you rose to the occasion. And listen, if you're looking for a closer and you really need to get in on them, grab both. Grab Doolittle and Sims. See if it works out. You can get a closer out of that. I think Garrett is going to be in trouble. In fact, I once pitched him in a start, and he was lit up to the tune of
I remember that game. I remember 100% that game.
It ruined my season. So I call a bad start an Amir Garrett. So I'm just
walked like 5 people in one inning. I remember very well.
Joe, we want to thank you for coming on here. We hope that you will come back here. If you want to come back
regularly, for having me.
We'd love it.
Thanks, Joe.
We would love it. And I want to thank everybody out there for watching. If you haven't already, click subscribe, ring the bell for notifications, hit like if you like what you're hearing, and put your comments below, and we will get back to you personally. We look forward to seeing you same time every week, 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific for Major League Baseball Waiver Wire, and we hope we're going to have Joe with us. It's been great talking with all of you, and we'll see you next week.
We're going to set the internet on